All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are looking at a real-time account of this absolutely revolutionary security system getting hit with our relentless, professional-grade cyber attack. We're going to walk through the actual data, the real logs, and see the play-by-play of a digital siege as it happened. And we are starting right in the middle of the chaos with this quote. Why? Because this isn't just a story about data points on a graph. It's about hard evidence, undeniable proof of what this system can do when it's under heavy fire. These, right here, are the receipts. So here's the absolute key. Before we even see the first packet fly, you have to get why this is so different. On any normal system, if your CPU hits 95%, you're lagging, you're degrading. 100%, you're about to crash. Game over. But for this system, 100% CPU load just means it's working. It's actively learning at its maximum rate. The entire rulebook is just different. Okay, so that brings us to the first phase, the opening shot. The attackers came in hot, using pretty much the oldest trick in the book, just pure brute force. So their attack followed this classic four-step pattern. First they do a little recon, probing the defenses. Then they escalate, just cranking up the traffic. Then, step 3, maximum force. They push for a total resource exhaustion, trying to pin that CPU at 100% and just crash the whole thing. But then, step 4 happened, and it's not what they expected. They actually retreated in confusion. So why?
Because the system didn't crash. It didn't even slow down. It hit 100% load, absorbed the entire attack like a sponge, and maintained perfect, rock-solid stability. It basically looked at this massive assault that's designed to kill any normal server on the planet and just said, neat. Anyway, the attackers gave it their absolute best shot, and the system made them flinch first.
But here's the thing. The system wasn't just some passive walls soaking up damage. No. After that first hit, it started to learn. It began evolving from just absorbing the punches to actively fighting back. So that first attack was a totally new experience for it. And to really understand the pattern, the system took 34 measurement cycles. Think of them as snapshots of its own performance. It took the hit, sure, but it was taking notes the entire time. Then came attack number 2. This one was way more aggressive, a double peak assault hitting 100% CPU twice in a row. But this time, after 41 readings, the system had learned enough to actively kick them out. The door wasn't just closed anymore, it was slammed right in their face. By the third time they tried, it was almost comical. The system recognized the signature almost instantly. There was no big fight, no sustained battle. In just 3 readings, it identified the threat and just shut it down flat. Basically said, nope. Not today. I mean, look at this progression. It's incredible. It went from learning to defending to just instantly rejecting the threat. That's a 91% improvement in its response time in just 3 attempts. This thing doesn't just get stronger under fire, it gets exponentially smarter. Okay, this is where the story goes from just impressive to, well, almost unbelievable. The system didn't just learn to recognize patterns somebody showed it, it started making its own decisions. Seriously, think about this for a second. During the 4th attack, the system cut the attackers off before they could even really get going. How did it know? No human told it what to do. How did it decide for itself what was an attack versus just, normal traffic? The answer is 87.5%. By analyzing the shape of the data from those first 3 attacks, its geometric signature, the system identified this specific CPU load as the boundary, the line in the sand, the exact point where normal activity flips over and becomes an attack pattern. And here is the punchline. Nobody programmed that number. No human typed in 87.5. The system discovered this threshold all by itself. It learned from its attackers and then literally wrote its own defensive rulebook on the fly. We're talking about unsupervised learning in a live production environment under hostile conditions. It's wild. Okay, so the system is autonomous, it's learning exponentially. What's next? Well, this is where it deploys its most advanced weapon. This is where it stops just playing defense and starts playing mind games. It uses something called topological black holes. And the concept is just genius. When malicious traffic hits one of these things, it doesn't get a "you are blocked" message. It doesn't get an error code. It gets nothing. Absolute silence. The packets just vanish into a mathematical void like they were never even sent. The effect this had on the attackers was profound. You can see it in the logs. They tried hitting the system at all these different levels, but all they got back was radio silence. They had no idea if their attack was working, if it was getting blocked, or if the system was even online. Their entire strategy just fell apart. They weren't executing a coordinated attack anymore. They were just thrashing, randomly poking and prodding, trying to get any kind of feedback. And that is the strategic brilliance of this. A normal firewall tells you, you shall not pass. This system gives you nothing. It forces the attackers to fight against pure uncertainty. And that is an enemy you cannot beat. It's psychologically devastating.
So, the final test. This all sounds incredible, but does it need a human babysitter to work? Well, the attackers decided they were going to find out.
This was the actual response from the system's operator after the 8th attack. See, the attackers waited until he publicly announced he was stepping away to watch anime. They thought the coast was clear. They timed their strike for the exact moment they thought no one was watching the monitors. But it didn't matter. Not one bit. The system isn't a tool that needs a human to pull the levers. Its defense is built on geometric topology and pure mathematics. And as the logs prove, mathematics doesn't get tired. It doesn't take anime breaks, and its black holes are always hungry. The attack failed just as spectacularly as all the others before it. So, after all the escalation, all the clever strategies, and all the psychological warfare, what was the final outcome? Let's look at the scoreboard. Here it is, the final tally. Over 7 distinct, sophisticated attacks. Successful breaches, 0. System degradation, 0%. The learning curve, exponential. And in the end, the attackers just gave up. They threw everything they had at the system, and they achieved, literally, nothing. The final score, mathematics infinity. Attackers, 0. And that brings us to the real takeaway here, doesn't it? This was never just about stopping some hackers. It was about proving a completely new way of thinking, a system that learns, adapts, and defends itself using the fundamental language of the universe. It really makes you wonder, if you can create an unbreakable digital fortress using geometry, what other impossible problems could be solved the exact same way?